Yep. Good evening, everyone. Anyone tried that BMI calculator? Huh? Yesterday, given two things we discussed: EMI calculator and BMI calculator. Anyone able to design it right successfully? Is it working? Have you posted in class? Right? I will check that. So you need to practice these kind of components. You can visit different websites have these kind of components. We need to create such components and handle them, right? Next, after understanding components with events, one more point is there actually. When you are using events and designing components here, another key point is while working with components, you need to understand about component properties. So components, there are so many techniques. We have property, we learned about data binding, style binding, class binding. And we are now designing components and using them. Just like we created EMI calculator component. But generally, what is the main purpose of component is, as I already in the introduction told you, components are building blocks for application. So actually, component provides reusable and customized templates actually. It provides reusable and customized template means we can reuse, but not just reusing a component, we have to reuse the component and customize according to our requirements. That means, for example, yesterday you designed a EMI calculator. Same EMI calculator they want in another place. But that EMI calculator amount range can be from minimum 5 lakhs to 20 lakhs. But what you designed, 50,000 to 10 lakhs. So they want year range from 1 to 10 years. They want interest rate from 5 to 10. Then now you will redesign. Remember, will you modify the component? That's not good idea, because if you modify component, wherever it is used, it is affected, na? Right? Understood the point? Means I am saying that you designed a component. That means you designed an component, like component is EMI calculator. You designed an EMI calculator. Yeah. So you designed an EMI calculator. In that calculator, amount is actually range for that slider is set to 50,000 minimum, and to maximum how much it is set to 10 lakhs. Like this we define. And years we defined 1 to 5. And rate we defined 10.25 to suppose 18.25. Now here important is this you are using in some page. Suppose this is some HDFC bank. And in this, they want this EMI calculator. Then what they can do, they can just inject and use that EMI calculator here Am I right? Now we have some another bank, ICICI Bank. In this also they need an EMI calculator, but amount is different, interest rates are different, years are different. That means now same EMI calculator they want here. Same EMI calculator they want, but the value range must change. That means actually it should change. That calculator range should change. Then what you will do? Will you go back and modify this value? If you modify this value in EMI calculator, it will affect both. Na? That means here, if you modify the value here, it is going to affect in both places. Then how? How to design a component in such a way that they can use that component and customize according to their requirements. This is the key point. Till now, whatever component you created, it is just used exactly in the same way. But how you can customize it, how to allow to customize, this is important everywhere. So I hope you understood this. Now, actually, I will tell you this concept here like this. See, I hope you understood the problem here. What is the concept? What is the problem for this? I will tell you here a simple logic. I return a function. So this function is print numbers. And this function is having for, so where I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. And it should print 10 numbers, console.log I. We are printing. Now this is a function which is designed to print numbers. When I call print numbers, how many numbers it will print? How many numbers it will print? 10. Starting from 1. If I want starting from 5 to 20. And same, I want print numbers again in another place. There I want 50 to 100. Will you change the function? Huh? Will you change the function? What you will do? You will create another function for 20 numbers, another function for 30 numbers, another function for 40 numbers. Huh? That's good, right? What we have to do? What we have to do to handle this situation? We can create this function. We can create this function and we can pass this function with parameters. Am I right? We can put parameter. What is the parameter? How many? Right? How many you want to print? Now what you can do, instead of saying less than 10, we can use this how many here. Na? Am I right? That means what is a parameter doing? What is the purpose of a parameter in any function? What is the purpose of parameter in a function? The parameters are used in a function to modify the function. So if anybody asks what is the purpose of parameter in a function, it is not for passing values. Parameters are used in a function to modify the function. That means function is already doing some work. If you want to modify the function and want to define more functionality, customize according to requirement. You want it to change according to your requirement, then it is done by using what? Parameters. So what is the purpose of function parameter? Function parameter is responsible for modifying the function. Modifying the function. So actually you designed component. You designed component. Component provides reusable and customized template. Actually, so every component is reusable, but cannot be customized. So to allow customization, of component, you have to use properties. That means every component can have properties. And what is the purpose of properties? Properties are used to modify the component. Properties are used to modify the component. That means, example I will tell you. So example is function. So actually a function can be parameterless. If it is parameterless, a parameterless function will do the same task every time. It will do the same task every time. So a parameterized function can change according to situation, according to state and situation. That is important. That means if you want a component to change according to state and situation, it should work for different purpose. Then you can design that by using parameters. And actually component parameters are called as properties. Component parameters are called as properties. For example, suppose you are using heading. For heading, we are applying align. Align is equal to what? Center. What is align? Align is a property of which component? Heading 1 component. Understood? Heading 1 is printing heading. But what align can do? It can change the alignment of heading to left, center, or right. Now, what is that align? Align is a property of heading component. Suppose you have a table component. Table have a border. It will set border. That means table component, you can have a table with border, without border. If you want a table with border, in some places we want without border. In some places we want with border. That means border is a property which can be assigned or removed. When you assign, it will have some additional functionality. Right? How table is a component with a property called border. That border will tell whether to display a border for the component or not. That means the purpose of properties is to customize component. Customize the component. That is very important. Right? So for example, see how we can design that. Means not just reusing the component, we must be able to customize the component. First, we will see a basic example, how it works, right? Let's see. Means how we can customize. So what we have to do syntactically, export function. And in that function, we need to configure function and we need to define function name. This function, all these days we were designing just a function which is returning some markup. So it is returning some markup. We were doing this. That means it is returning some markup. So it is returning some markup. So we are designing some markup here. Actually, this markup is called fragment. We already discussed that. It is returning markup. Now we can have properties. Now, whenever you want to use this component, you can pass the values into these properties. They can be used in this component for customizing the component. That means you can design a component according to requirements. For example, let's do one thing here. Simple point I will show you here. So currently, this is sample component running. I will create here. I will add another file in the components. I will add a new folder and I will give as properties demo. Properties demo. Okay. I will add properties dot component dot JS. Now here we are having simple export function. So properties component. It is properties component and it is returning some markup. Class name I given container fluid. Okay. Now here I will put properties, something like this, demo. Let's keep in the startup properties demo. Properties component is there. And the properties component is having just some properties demo. It's taking some time, right? Okay, this is properties demo. Now here I want to use EMI calculator. Then what we will do in the properties component here, we will just access that EMI component. First we have to import it. In order to use it, we have to import it. So we need to use, what is it? EMI calculator component we have to import. And we can use that EMI calculator. So that means here you will get the EMI calculator. But what I want here is this title should change. Suppose here I am you can see their web. Yep. So they have different types of calculators. That means personal loan calculator, EMI calculator, two-wheeler calculator. So many categories are there. That means they want a calculator, but title should change. Then how do we design a component which can change its title? Then I will do one thing now. So I will remove this heading. Yeah. The title should able to change. For that component, the title should change. The title should change. So then what we will do is, let's go to that EMI component. We will go to EMI component. In that EMI calculator component here, this is EMI calculator component. Into that, we will pass properties. Remember, this is a formal parameter. You can give any name. Any name, because function parameters, they are all formal names. You can give any name. But traditionally in React, component properties are given with the term called props. We can use any name, doesn't matter. Now this props is an object type. Object type means it will contain keys and values, because properties can be many. Every component can have many properties. Now it is an object type. So what we will do is see it is a custom object actually. This is custom object. It can have any key you want. It can have any key. That means you can put keys like title is one key. So amount. So suppose I said min amount is one key. Max amount is another key. That means these are all the keys of which one? Props. This props is what type? It is an what type? Object. Now what we will do, these keys are your own keys. You can give any dynamic key you want. You can give any name. So what I will do is, for this props here, let's go. Where is the title? Here na heading. Here I will change this. And here I will put an expression. And I will put props dot title. Props dot title. And you observe carefully now, when I am using that component here, title is not there. Title is not there. Wherever you want to use that component, we are using that component here. Here, we need to pass properties. That means now this component is having a property. What is the property name? Property name, not object name. Object have a property called title, na? Property key name. What is that key name? Title. Title is equal to, I will put a title. Suppose title is a dynamic value. Suppose I put a title here. Title is nothing but EMI calculator. So I am giving title as EMI calculator. You will get that. Now I am changing this title. Suppose, so personal loan calculator. And it will be personal loan calculator. Somewhere else we need as a two-wheeler calculator. That means vehicle loan calculator. Then we will put here as, so vehicle loan. And you can see it says vehicle loan. That means you are having a component, and that component having some properties which are changing now. We are changing. That means component related properties are changing. Now observe carefully here. Suppose we want to customize other details. What are other details we want to customize? Suppose amount. We want years rate also to customize. We can do that. I will show you one. First, I will create an empty one. And with that, we will see how to customize. Then you can try that on this concept, right? First, let's create one component with customized data. How to create component with customized data here? Let's see. I will copy here. This is the example we done. So I will give one example to you. In this example, suppose I am creating, means this I hope you understood, but from the scratch I am creating. See, there is a login component. There is a login component. This is actually login component. This login component is having title, user login. But this title should change. User login, admin login, customer login. For different purpose, we want login. And everywhere the name should change. The title should change. Then how to design this? Simple. This login component is expecting what? properties, and here in the heading, we will use the title. Understood? That means here in the heading, we will put the title. What is it? Props dot title. I'm using title. You can give any property. You can have any property title. So I will define here. Suppose you see, I will use in the properties component. I want to access that login component. Then how do we access the login component? Delete this EMI. First, we have to access login. Login component we need to import. This login component is displayed in your page, but title is not decided. Now what you can do is just you have to pass here. What is the property? Title. Title, I will say user login. Then you can see that is displayed with user login. I'm adding suppose here, suppose admin login. That means it will change that to admin login. So that means here I am changing, suppose customer login, and it will change to customer login. That means we can change according to the requirements. So here we are just giving login and it will display that login. Suppose I want to change, suppose it is admin login. We want email and password. Suppose it is customer login. We want mobile and password. Understood? That means what we have to do, we have to change in the login. This also we have to change. Am I right? This is what sometimes it will be email, sometimes it will be mobile, sometimes it may be user ID, email or mobile. Then what we will do is we will create here another one. What is it? Props dot. I will put here as this is as login ID. Login ID, that is the property. Login ID. So now props is an object with two properties. What are those two properties? One is title, another one login ID. Login ID, that is the property name. Suppose I give an underscore, login underscore ID. Now here, let's go to the design. Here we need another option. What is that login? Suppose I given as admin login. Now you will see this is admin login. But at the top, I want here another one. What is it? Another property is there. What is the property name? So the property name we given as login ID. That means here I am just using login underscore ID is equal to, suppose email. Suppose I am giving email and you can see here email will come. I can change that. Now, lot of points are there. I will tell you here. Suppose you see now, suppose here we are defining instead of, suppose it is another login. Suppose it is manager login. Then I can change this. I can change this to what? Mobile. That means it will change to mobile. Right? Now one important thing is here is, suppose it is admin login and admin login is expecting, suppose mobile, email. Now, can you change its input type as email? Its input type must be changed to email. Right? What do you say? How you will change that? In the login component, suppose this is input type, am I right? Input type, I will use a binding expression. In that I will use props. Props dot. So login underscore type, understood? login underscore type. Now see what happens here. That means you have another option defined. Now the type is unknown to this here. What I will do is, currently this is email, normal email. Suppose you entered that it is submitting. Suppose I will put here to change this to email. What we are doing here, we need to add one more option. What is it? We have to use another property. What is that property? Login type. Login type. What is it? Email. Login type, I am using email. When I use login type email, I entered some text and submit. It verifies email. That's good. Dynamically it is changing now. Dynamically it is changing. You can change the type of element also. You can change the type of element. This is the correct component. Why I need same login everywhere? I need login, but some places we need ID and password. Some places we need mobile and password. Some places we need email and password. Right? That depends. You can change. Actually, we will learn another part, conditional rendering. When we learn conditional rendering, we we can decide how many fields to render. That means, suppose he is admin login, then we will use email, password, mobile. If manager login, only email. That means even the number of elements in that component also can change. This we can handle. This we can handle. We will call that mechanism as conditional rendering. Conditional rendering means situation wise presentation will change. Presentation will change. So you can have multiple properties. Now I can change this login type. Login type, suppose I set it to password. Login type to password, that means here it is password type now. You can change the type dynamically so that you can add and you can configure what type you want. That means a component must be customizable. Right? You cannot give, for example, you already learned Bootstrap and all. In Bootstrap, carousel will be there. Carousel means you can create some sliding banners. What banners you can keep? How many banners you can keep? Is there any restriction for that? No, that depends on your requirement. In some websites, you can put 3 banners. In some website, you can put 5 banners. But carousel is same. Functionality will be same. Appearance will be similar, but content will be changing. According to content, it can be customized. This is the main concept of properties. This is very, very important. Designing components and allowing the components to customize. That is important. Right here, we will see this example I will give you. So first add a new component with properties, props. That is nothing but login.component.js. I will give this code there. This is login component. Okay, this is the login component. This may be using some CSS. So we have another one is login component.css. It is using some CSS, so I will keep it. This is CSS. Now, if you want to use this anywhere, then what you have to do is now add another component, and this component should able to use login. So we will create some component properties dot component properties demo, right? Properties demo.component.js. And this is the logic we are using, properties component. So that I given just properties component there. Now, how do we pass the properties into that? This is the process. That means we are accessing login component, and into that we are passing different properties. That means you can use the same component everywhere, but it is not necessary that you have to use with the same appearance, same style. It can change according to situation. And that is possible by using what? Properties. So here we are configuring the properties and we are using it. Here in the syntax, how do we use? Name, props, am I right? Props dot some reference is equal to value. That means here we have to use only reference is equal to what? Value. This reference value will be stored in which location? So it will be used here. That means what we have to do? Here we need to keep props dot what? Reference. That is how we create reusable component. Let's create another one. So for example, I want to design a grid. I want to design a grid. Grids are very popular in every data presentation. Grids are very common. Actually, people borrow grids from other third parties. So grids are very, very popular. For example, you want to present some data in a tabular form, then we have to use a grid. You can see several third parties, like there is a third party, some Telerik. You can see this is Telerik. Telerik is one popular third party. Telerik is very popular third party. And you see the customers of Telerik. NASA is customer of Telerik. Microsoft is customer of Telerik. Samsung, IBM, these are customers of Telerik. NASA-like people are customers of Telerik means they are providing components support for NASA-like apps. Right? That means here you observe now, when I go to demos, you see different technologies are there. Suppose, let's say React demos. I open React demos, you can see React grids, React charts, React editors, React forms. That means what they are doing, they are providing components. And remember, they are selling these components. It's not free, you have to purchase. And see how they are selling the component. They are selling the component, so $899 per one developer, per developer. If one developer have to use, so he need to pay $88.99 to use this component. They will provide 24 hours response time. That means if you have any technical issue, their technical team will come. Their technical team will take care about that. You pay more money, they will take care within 1 hour. Right? That means they are selling components. If your company likes the component and they badly need that component, then what they do? They will purchase. They will ask you, our developers, that when you go to React projects anywhere, in interviews also, for experienced people, they ask, do you have any experience in working with Telerik? Because our company is using Telerik. That means there, what is the point? Several components you don't need to design. You have to get from Telerik, import them, customize according to business requirements. That is your work. And companies will purchase components for you because free components may not be satisfied. You see, they given a component here, React component. They given grids. You can see this is a grid component. And a grid component, they given the preview. It looks like this. This is a grid component. So you see it is loading the grid component. Yeah, this is grid component. And you can see this grid component have a lot of features. It is features like filtering, sorting, searching. You people say that I don't know Telerik, I never heard. That is your problem. Pity on you. Why? Because NASA-like people using Telerik and you say I don't know Telerik. They don't care about you. right? Majority companies, lot of third parties are Telerik, and there is a third party called DevExpress. DevExpress, Telerik, these are majority used by several companies. They don't use free components. In class, we will teach you free components, right? But in reality, in projects, you have to work with similar but paid. They have more features, more functionalities. We can't show you them here because legally we have to purchase them, those components. But similar components we will learn here. We will learn how to create such components so that it will be easy, right? So now what is the point here? They provide a lot of things like filtering is there, like searching is there, right? Now we need, what is the point here? Is data same? They given some customer ID. Every time data is not same, grid is same, but sometimes students data, employees data, products data, different data will come. It should work for any type of data. So how you will design a table in such a way that it can change itself according to data? Suppose one employee data, 4 columns, products data, 20 columns, students data, 7 columns. Can you design a table in such a way that it can change itself dynamically? That is what we are going to do now. We can do that. Let's see how. Means how to create such reusable grids. We will see one simple example, how to do that. Technically, grid is what? Grid is a table. Na? So we will do one thing. We need to create a grid which can change according to data. We need to create a table which can change according to data. Let's do. I will go here. I will add one component. This is okay, fine. Yeah. I will add one component called, so let's add a component grid. In the components, I'm adding a new folder, grid. Okay, I will add a new file, grid.component.js. This is a grid component, export function, and it is a grid component, okay. And this grid component will return a table, Let's create a table, class container fluid, and we will create a table here. Just we will add a table. But remember, this table is having class name table and table hover something. Some effects are defined. Now this table should change its columns and its rows depending on what data you are providing. That means rows are not standard, columns are not standard. They should able to change according to what data you pass. Now, how to design a table which is not sure about its columns and rows? Then what we will do here, now see, this grid is expecting properties. This grid is expecting properties. In properties, we will design it with 2 kinds of properties. What we will do is, these properties can contain, fields. Fields are columns, right? And it can contain data. Data is nothing but rows. That means what are the fields and what is the data in those fields? That means now we are expecting 2 properties in this grid component. What are those 2 properties? One is fields and data. Fields must be displayed as columns. They must be displayed as columns. Data must be displayed as what? Rows. Must be displayed as rows. Let's see. Now here we are creating T-head, table head. Okay. In this we are defining TR, row. Now how many headings must come? TH is for heading. How many headings will come? That depends on how many fields he will pass. Understood? That means how many headings should come. That depends on how many fields he passes. So for different data, he can pass different fields. So here we need to put an expression. We need to get props dot fields. Fields is a collection of fields. Then we will use a map. In that map, we have to read every field and we need to present. Then what we will do, we will use field and we need to present that field. We need to present the field in which way? We need to present in a TH. Here we need to present the field, right? We need to read every field and present. Let's see first this. We will do one more work here. What we will do, we will put a caption. This caption will use props dot title, understood? And I will use one more class as caption top, because actually caption will be bottom. We'll put a caption top. This caption will be changing. The fields are not standard. Okay, now let's design. This is just table with only headings are there. Okay. Now we will go to properties component. Here we want to use that grid. Here we need to use that grid. Then how to use the grid? We will import which component? Grid. We will import grid component. In the grid component, so you can see here the design. Grid component is currently empty. Nothing is there. We need a caption. We need a caption. Caption is defined as what? Title. Na? That means we will put what? Title. Title I am giving as employee data, employee details. Okay. Or I will say employee grid. And you can see title will display employee grid there. So still table is not there. Yeah, table fields are not generated because caption will come in the table fields. Okay, now one more option is there now. What is it? We have fields now. So we need to define another property. Grid component is having another property. What is that property? Fields. Now let's go to here. We will add, what is it? Fields. Fields is using a map. That means it is what type? Fields is an array. Am I right? It is an array. In that array, I am giving field names. What is that? I will give suppose first name and comma. Another one is last name. And you can see these are the fields in that. You will get that. Now this is the caption. Employee grid. And how many fields are there? First name, last name. Suppose you are adding one more field. Remember, you can maintain fields in a separate array and access them. I'm just using another field. Suppose designation. And another field like salary. You tell what fields you want. Automatically table is generated for those fields. That is good. And remember here, I'm using another table. Okay. Under this, I will put a horizontal line. That means a line will come. So I will keep size for this horizontal line as some 10. Okay. And we will say line width. Okay, that is fine. Width. That is only 10%. This is pixels only. Because we are using Bootstrap. Bootstrap may have ready-made. I will keep here size as style. I will keep some color. Okay, color as some red. Okay, light red color is there. Fine, that is okay. Now what I will do is below this horizontal line, I'm using another grid component. This grid component is having title. Title is what? This is products grid. Products grid. In the products grid, what fields you want? You need to mention the fields is an array. Here we need product name, we need product price, we need product stock, we need product suppose rating like this. And you can see there is another table with different fields. Now we have two tables, one table with employee grid, another table with this. That means the table is changing. The table is changing according to the requirement. That means now the fields are changing according to requirement. You designed a table in such a way that it can change. No fixed columns. For that, what you have done, you created a map, you created a fields collection, and we are iterating. Now, how about rows? This is challenging one. Because fields is a simple array, you can do it. Now what we have to do is, we need to create a table body. In this body, we need to create a row for every record inside table. We need to generate a row for every item that comes in the data. For every item, we need to design a row. How to generate row? We have to use props. I told you we will collect as data. Data dot what? Map. Data dot map. Map what? We need every item. And for every item, what we need to generate? We need to generate a row. For every item, we need to generate a row. That means it will generate row for every item. Okay. And here important is how many cells must be in this? How many cells must be in this? There is no standard. That cells depends on how many fields are present for item. Am I right? The cells depends on how many keys are present in this item. Item is an object. Na? Item is an object. That means you see now, I am generating rows empty. Keep it empty here. I'm just keeping it empty. Observe carefully now. Let's go to, so here data. You can see here, the initial data is empty. Nothing is there. Because we are not passing any data. We need to pass some data. Let's go. And here, after you pass the fields, then you need to pass data. And very important, data is again an array. Am I right? Array of what? Object. Array of object. In that, every data contains first name, property. Na? That means every object contains, what is the property we have? First name. What is the value for first name? Suppose like some name. And we have another property. What is it? Last name. So last name is some name. And we have another one. What is it? Designation. Designation is some manager. And we have another one. What is it? Salary. Salary is some salary. That means we are passing some value. Now this is the data we are passing. This is one object related details. That means for employee details, how many objects are present? Only one. Now here you will see issues will be there now because we need to correctly pass all the data required for every component. You see here, it is showing an option. Key property unique is not there. That's also fine. Why? Because we can just define what is it for every item. Here we need to mention a key. Am I right? So we need to generate a key for every field, right? We will put key. Key is what? Field. That means a unique key is generated for every field. And you can see here, now it is having another option. Each child must have a key. Where is that? Here also you need a key, right? And key is nothing but we give an item. Actually, item will have some details. Item will have like ID or some details. We can put that keys there. Currently, we don't have an ID. Now you see some errors are there. So this error is nothing but related to others. other data. Other data means we have two columns now. That means two data, products, another one employees. Employees. We need to fill up all of them, right? Let's see how do we fill up all of them. I will create here. The fields are ready. There is no problem in the field. Okay, fields are ready. There is no problem in the field. What is the problem is now keys. Here we will put an option here. Later we will put the keys. Let it keep it simple. In this row, we need to generate cells. Cell for every key inside this item. This is actually, this is an object. What type it is? It is what type? Object. Now tell me in JavaScript how we can access all the keys in that object. Because we need to create a cell for every key. How to access the keys of any object in JavaScript. If there is a JavaScript object, how do we know all the keys of that? How to read all the keys? Actually, in JavaScript, you can use for in operator. Am I right? For in every property you can access from an object. You know that now? For in is there now, right? Suppose if there is an object and you want to access, suppose there is an object. So where product is an object, in that we have name is a key and we have price is a key. I want to access all the keys. Then how to access all the keys? For where property in what product. So then we can document dot write. We are printing property. That means we can read every property from that particular object. For that we have to use for in actually. It will read every property and it will display. You can see it is showing every property. To read every property, we have to use for in. But very important is actually here we cannot use for in here. We cannot write any function. You cannot write any conditions here. Then we can do another work. Instead of that, there is an option called, actually, we have an option called object.keys. Object.keys is going to return all the keys. Keys of which object? Product. That means what it is doing is in JavaScript, we have object.keys, which will return all the keys of which object? Product object. That means it is returning more than one, means it's an array. Then now how to read every element from array? We can apply a map. We can read every key from that. Understood? After reading every key from that, we want to print. So some heading I am just giving like this. Now we want to print every key value. That means product, and we are reading every key. Every key means what? Name and price. If you want to print what is present in name, then you know we have to write like this. What we have to do? We have to use product of what? Key. Product of key means first time it will access what? Product of key means, so product of key, that means it will access first time this one, second time this one. That means it is used to read all the keys and it is used to read all the values. This is a JavaScript technique of reading all the keys from an object. This we have to implement here. We have to implement that here. That means now what we have to do? The products.data is map, and here we need to use another expression. What is this expression have? Object dot what? Keys. Keys of which one? Item. Item. And we have to use a map. We have to read every key. After reading every key, we need to present here. What we need to present as a cell, not TD. We need to present a cell. In that cell, what we have to display? We have to display item of what? Key. Item of key. This is going to print both keys and values. It is going to print both keys and values. Let's see. That means this is going to generate row for every item. And it is going to generate the value for every item. Every value will be displayed in a cell. This is object dot keys. Right now, see here. Let's go to the design now. I will close this here because our data needs a lot of logic. Now here, so this is data we are providing. We will add this one. I will remove all this, right? Yep. Now grid component is ready. I want to use the grid component here. Let's access the grid component and display. So first thing, to access the grid component, we have to use grid component. In this, suppose I want to print employee details. So now what are the options we need to define? Title. Title is what? Title is employee grid. Okay. Now we need what? Fields. Fields is an array. Array of what type? String. It's general fields. Suppose I will give name, I will give designation, and I will give salary. That means these are the three things we want to display. Name, designation, and salary. These are the three things we want to display. Now let's run this here. You can see it's not ready because it is also expecting data, right? Now we will pass the data into this. How we will pass the data? Here we need to pass what? Data. Data is an dynamic array of what? Object. In this object, what are the fields we need to define? One is name. Name is, suppose name is some John. Okay, what about the another one? Designation. Designation is some manager. What is the next one? Salary. Salary is some salary number. So we defined this data. Now we need to get that and display. You are generating row and you are generating columns. This is employee data. So we are performing iteration over every key inside item. And we are generating a cell. This is challenging, very, very challenging. If anybody gives you this task, you can't handle by your own, even you have a lot of experience in JavaScript. Somebody need to guide you in handling these kind of components. So even you have good knowledge of JavaScript, also difficult to handle these kind of designs and functionalities. Immediately you will not get the idea because you have to think how we can generate the row. Here what we are doing, we are generating the headings according to data. Here we are generating the rows according to data. We are generating cells according to data. In that cell, we need to display. You see what we are doing? Every cell will read item, and for every item, it will read the key, and for every key, it will print the value in cells. That means name, then price, then salary, some anything, whatever you define. Currently, we are having only one data, right? I'm adding another detail. So this is name, this is some name, and we have designation. And designation is suppose some developer, and we have some salary. So here we have some salary, and salary is some salary like this. And you can see now the second record is there. Now this is a reusable grid. And now important, suppose I want to print some products data. Okay, let's do this. What I will do is I will create here. So constant, and I will say products is equal to, we will use state. Am I right? And here use state, it is an array. Array of what? Object. Now in this, we are keeping some predefined details. What are the predefined details? That is name. So name is, suppose some name, so TV, and we have price, that is some price, and we have like stock, and stock is some stock, so true or false. Or say just I will put some available, like this I am adding. This is one cell, and another name, and say shoe, so some price, and we are adding some price, and we are adding stock, so say out of stock, like this we are adding some data into it. Now what we need to do is we need to create a grid for this. That means now here below I will create another grid component. And what is that grid component title? This grid component title is what? Products grid. And what are the fields here you want? The fields I want here, the fields I want. So I am defining the fields. What are the fields? Name. Another field is what? Price. Another field is what? Stock. Now what about the data? Data is nothing but directly it is coming from products. Products is an array. Na? We are directly passing that array here. We are directly passing that array here. Then another table will be designed for products. Now, according to data, it is changing. That means you created a table in such a way that it can change according to data. This is reusable grids. Right now, remember, properties allows you to create such reusable component. Not only that, themes, colors, effects, everything you can customize. Suppose for employees grid different color, for products grid different color. Then what you do? Just what you define here. See, I'm adding, this is the table now. For table, I'm using, this is the class name we are having. Class name. Suppose you want to add some dynamically some effect here. That means what you can do, we can add these classes also dynamically. I am giving constant names. I can use these class names also dynamically. Class names dynamically is nothing but, for example, suppose I am giving style. In the style, what is that? Background color. Background color is the style property. And what is the value? Value will come from props dot some theme, like this. Props dot theme. This is props dot theme. That is the background color for that. We are dynamically defining that here. That means now whenever we want to apply some effect, whenever we are accessing that, you see, you are accessing here. And what is it? Theme na? Theme is equal to, suppose I am applying some name. So theme is equal to some yellow. That means I am using some background yellow. Now theme here, I am defining some theme, I am defining as some green. Then you can see the theme is green. Right? You can apply styles. You can apply different effects. Everything you can customize. Header different color, footer different color, columns different appearance. Anything you want, you can pass dynamically. That means component is not just changing the data, but complete appearance can be changed dynamically. And remember, depending on how many columns, because you see, suppose the products data. So this is properties. The products data is having another option. that is having quantity. Quantity is 3. And here we are having another one that is quantity. Quantity is some 4. And in the products data, we need one more field. That means we are adding one more field. The field is quantity. And you can see it customizes according to that. How many columns, how many rows you can pass. Everything you can dynamically generate. This is the purpose of properties. So what is the concept of properties? Properties allows you to customize the component. You can create a component which can be customized. That is what actually real world requirement is. Some components are parameterless, some components are parameterized. Why we need parameterless components? If we need a component with a stable functionality, it doesn't require any changes. Then we design parameterless. Why we need parameterized components? Because we want to change according to the situation. This is important. And here, I hope this is not confusion anything. Object.keys is nothing but it is reading every item related key and returning keys collection. On that keys collection, we are using a map. We are reading every key and we are printing the value of under that key. Item of key means its value. For every value, we are generating a cell. Here you need to keep all those options correctly. That means to avoid errors, what we have to do, key. What is it? Item. Suppose item dot name. Here also we need to put an key. So what is that key we have to define? So item of what? Key. That for everyone we can define that keys. That will reduce the errors. Otherwise keys errors will come in console. We have to do the same for others. Wherever you are configuring, you have to mention the keys. Right? This is one example how we can create. This is an example. This is an example. We have grid component, grid.component.js. This is grid component. And to use this grid component, suppose properties.component.js. In properties component, we will put this one. That means this is the example, the data for that, both of them. Now, already you learned API data, na? That means you can pull the API data and you can fill that into this. That means now you can use this grid for your APIs, Fake Store API, NASA API, any data you can push into that. So fields collection, another one is data collection. Now you don't need to design a table manually every time. Just access the component, pass the data. This is reusability. But not just this, we need even functionality also for that. That means filtering, sorting, searching like functionality we can implement on that. For that, we need to write the logic behind that every component, right? This is one concept of properties, component properties. Now here you will learn one more concept is how you can handle conditional rendering. Conditional rendering means for one situation, it should display in one way, another situation, another way. That means now user asks that I want products grid, then it should display in table. User says that I want products catalog, then it should change that table to card. Understood? That means actually appearance style completely changes. That means you see generally what they do is here we can add one property like suppose we will say layout. What is the layout type? How you want the layout? I will say layout as table. If layout as table, it should display in a tabular form. If I change this layout from table to catalog, then it should show in a cards type. How you will change complete layout itself? That means you are saying that in one situation, it will print table. In another situation, it will print cards. But concept is grid only. It will print in a tabular form. It will print in a card form. This is called conditional rendering. We can even change the complete layout of that component. That is called conditional rendering. So what is conditional rendering? How it works? With example that we will see in tomorrow's session. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about conditional rendering in React. These are all interview topics. That means in React interviews, everywhere you will face questions on events. You will face questions on properties. You will face questions on conditional rendering. You will face questions on data binding. Whatever topics I am discussing, they are all interview based in real world requirements. They will ask in the similar manner, means the questions related to that. That's the reason we need to know those technical words related to interviews also. In interviews, what the words they use for this, what questions they may ask you in React, right? So this is one. And tomorrow we will see conditional rendering, how that conditional rendering works. Based on that, we can create more designs. Okay. Then tomorrow we'll have a session. Tomorrow we have session, no holiday, right? Tomorrow we'll have session. And in tomorrow's session, we will continue with this concept. Okay. Right.